How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout, the YouTube show where we discuss all of the most relevant things happening in the cryptocurrency world, especially talking about Holochain today. But I'd like to begin the video by this interesting hashtag. Apparently, Trump fears Yang, and I think that this is more of a cryptocurrency relevant thing in a long term when you think about it. Trump is notoriously a anti-Bitcoiner, as per his tweets, and of course, Yang has come out being one of those who's very much a proponent of cryptocurrencies, and very interesting when we want to talk about the dialogue that is illustrated in that whole thing. And I think the concept of what Yang represents is very interesting, and I think that it's important from a defense of the USD sort of standpoint, that Trump obviously can't be a all-out Bitcoiner. Is more of a has to approach it from more of a sideways perspective. But I think that they do see the writing on the wall, and that is more of a I would say that's a bullish sort of hashtag. I mean, obviously, I don't talk about politics on this channel very often, but when it is relevant to cryptocurrency, I always think that it's important to bring out. And I think that is really one of the more relevant things to come out of this current crypto. I mean, if Yang has at least one thing going for him, it's gotten more people talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and more significantly and more relevant to this video, blockchain, which is of course why Holochain I think is such an important conversation to bring up in the context of just looking at the progression of how we've been seeing a lot of these other things making their headway. And I think I think obviously right now peer to peer is in a stage right now where people don't necessarily need it. It's almost sort of like when you want to talk about the situation with Bitcoin and so forth, that people already have banks. They don't need Bitcoin. So there's really no urgency for people to switch over. I think peer-to-peer and sort of what Holochain represents is almost emblematic of a very similar paradigm shift that's happening in the tech sector, when we're seeing websites like BitChute and all these others, which are having success because they're using a model that much more like Facebook and all these others have been ignoring. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see, and I think that scalability and all these agent-centric, all these things are going to be very interesting. In the evolution of the internet, I think many people often overlook the fluidity of the internet and the changes that can happen realistically, virtually overnight, when we want to talk about the opportunities that are right around the corner. And I think when we talk about Holochain, it is a look into the future, a very bullish perspective, in my opinion, on how cryptocurrency and the new internet can sort of mesh together and be that sort of catalyst to take us into the next stage of the paradigm. And I think that it's very interesting to see how a lot of these different aspects have been overlapping. And of course, in the same context, I think it's important to talk about Bitcoin. Of course, there's a lot of resistance at that $10,400 level. We've seen very interesting activity happening in the past couple of days. Of course, being knocked down those from getting ready to test that 11,000, and then a quick rejection bounce off of the AMA, the daily, and of course now finding itself pretty much trading sideways, I would say, for another 72 hours until we see the next move. But I think that right now we're in a really interesting crossroads when it comes to Bitcoin, and seeing where we're going to actually watch if it's going to break up towards retest to those all-time highs again, or of course if we will go further down, then of course capitulation. I think right now we're pretty much just waiting on the edge of our seats to see what decisions are made, the market makers and all these different things. But rest assured that we will be keeping you updated on this channel with all the aspects of these things, as they continue to develop in real time. So, of course, thanks to everybody who's been tuning into the live streams. Thanks to everybody who's been, supporting the channel. It really does help out a lot. Of course, remember this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not I'm only here to give you guys my opinion on all these different subjects, and I think it is inevitable at this point when we want to talk about all the different things that cryptocurrency has, the potential to open up so many doors, and I think that 2019 will be remembered as one of the last opportunities for people to actually accumulate a full Bitcoin for regular plebs like you and me out there. Anybody who doesn't have $1 billion. Now, of course, being hyperbolic in that sense, I'm sure we will see the price bounce around more and more, but it is going to be very interesting to see how these different aspects and proponents of the crypto space continue to play off. And I think that it is important to have that discussion in the context of something like Holochain, and of course just looking at how a lot of these different variables have been overlapping in a very significant way. Now, of course, it is going to be a very bumpy road as things continue to move forward. But in that same token, I think that we will be seeing some very interesting aspects of these things making themselves known. And I think, we will be seeing a lot more attention being shifted towards the altcoins like Holochain and among others that have represented themselves in a very interesting way. Bitcoin Cash powered file storage concept sparks interest and debate. This is an article that I also wanted to bring up, just in passing for the purposes of the, to keep you guys all up to date. So, of course, Bitcoin Cash proponents were introduced to a new project called the Cash Web Protocol on Friday. The blockchain file sharing scheme allowed people to store and load arbitrary data to the BCH chain. While the new protocol still has a long way to go, the developer decided to share his creation with the BCH community and show off the protocol's possibilities, even though a few people thought the project was awesome, the Cash website. This is interesting just to see how Bitcoin Cash has been I'm not necessarily, how I feel about Bitcoin Cash. I've talked about it multiple times, but for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm more of a Bitcoiner. I think that a lot of these forks are just going to continue forking, and I think that it's important to stay true. Of course, I think that there's going to be a ton of forks down the road as well, and I think that a lot of people will be caught up in that cycle, and it probably will not be advantageous in the long term. Now, of course, I think Bitcoin Cash is sort of the exception to that rule, but in that same respect, it is sort of subject to a lot of those various different issues that we will be seeing, and of course, so as things go over. We will be watching a lot of these different things as they happen in real time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this content. I do think that Holochain is one of those cryptocurrencies that does, in fact, have potential to be a household name. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Holochain is going to be making a big splash on the space. So definitely make sure that you guys are subscribed and you comment down below and let us know what you think. Let us know what you have, what your perspective is on a lot of the different topics that we discussed in this video. I think we discussed a lot of interesting things, things that I've been really itching to bring to your attention. And, I think as things move forward, we will see blockchain growing in popularity, but also we have to remember, the ever-evolving nature of technology and the fact that something like Holochain is more, could be a vision of moving past blockchain before it even has a chance. And I'm sure a lot of the big players are aware of this point too. So yeah, make sure you share the video. Comment down below, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Let us know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.